today's bag making class. So in today's class we are doing a messenger bag. Let's get on with the tools and materials we'll be needing for this project. Before we dive in, I would just like to say that if you've been with us for a while, welcome back, and if you're watching us for the first time, that you subscribe and hit on the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video is uploaded. So the measurements for the bag today, that is going to be the height of the bag, that is 21 centimeters. So from top to bottom, that's 21 centimeters, and then the width is 20 centimeters. The strap for the bag, that is going to be 132 centimeters. Okay, so from the end coming in 4 centimeters, and then you draw your dotted line. Okay, so when you've done these lines, okay, you measure another line from the tip here coming up another 4 centimeters. Hope you can see it, and then you draw a line across. The reason why we are doing these two lines is just to be able to arch this place and this place. Okay, so when you've done these lines, you just get an armhole curve. If you don't have an armhole curve, you can always do this freehand. Okay, so you're just going to connect this point here to this point here in an arc like that, and then do the same for both sides. Okay, so this is going to be our template for the bag. All right, so when you cut it out, this is what it's going to look like. Let's get on with the things you need. So I'm going to be using this alligator skin leather for the strap and for a little bit of embellishment on the bag. So you need some leather if you're going to do that. This is optional. You can always do away with it if you don't have it. And then you need your fabrics. So for me, this is going to be my main fabric, and then this is going to be my lining fabric, or the inside of the bag. Okay, so I have placed my stencil onto it. You can see, so this is my stencil, and then I left about 1 centimeter around my stencil, just about that. And the top here I left about 2 inches, but you don't need 2 inches. This is where the zip is going to go for the bag. Okay, so just leave 2 inches at the top here. So you're going to cut 2 pieces of fabric, and that is going to be for the lining of a bag. Then this is for the main body of the bag. So I've just transferred the same measurements onto it, as you can see, and then I have 2 of them. I'm using a jute kind of fabric for the main body of the bag. I also want to do kind of like a pocket in front of the bag as well. So this is what I'm going to be using for that. I'm going to get my arch at the bottom here, so I'm going to do that here, and then arch it as well. Okay, and then cut it off just for it to be the same as this very one. Okay, so this is what I've done. I've gone ahead to do another step, and I'm going to talk to you about it. Okay, so I have attached the lining to the main fabric, as you can see. I've done that, and I've folded it onto itself like this. So the gap I have here is about 1 centimeter gap, or ½ an inch up here, and that is going to take care of our zip for the top of the bag. Okay, preferably I think you should be using a matching zip color when you're doing this project, but I don't have it, and I'm going to be using this as my optional zip color for it. So I've done it on this end here. I'm going to go ahead and do it on the other side as well. And then we take it. Alright, so this is what I have done. So I'm going to fix the zip first before we move on to doing anything else. Alright, so I have put the 1/2 of the bag onto the zip, and the other half of the bag onto it. I'm going to turn it the wrong way around so that you see exactly what I have done. So this is what I have done. So we have the lining just moving away from the zipper area, and this side also moving away from the zipper area. So we have the zip laying in the center as kind of a bridge. All right, so I'm going to run a stitch on top of it, about 1/8 of a stitch on top of it, and then we go on to the next step. All right, so this is what I have done. I have fixed the zip. So this is the reverse side of the bag, and this is the right side of the bag. Okay, there's something I've done here that I'm going to show you what I did. So it's actually supposed to give the bag an effect at the bottom, okay, a rounded effect at the bottom. So this is what I did. All right, I've done it for one corner here. I'm going to repeat it on this corner, and on this corner, and on this corner as well. But I'm first going to do it on these two corners. Just do it on these two corners first, and then we'll come back and do this other bit, because we have to attach something to this other bit before we round off the corner up. Okay, so what I did was to this side of the bag and drop it onto this end, so that the bottom bit here is lining up with the side line over here. So you kind of have like a rectangle, kind of. All right, then you're going to measure 1 centimeter from the edge, and then just make a dot, a marking there. All right, so I've used my pen to do it, but ideally you should use your tailor's chalk, but just so that you can see it, that's why I use the pen. So you measure 1 centimeter from here coming in, and then you put a marking there. All right, then measure the length 3 centimeters, put the marking there, then you just join the dots with a line. All right, okay, so that's what you do, and then you put a pin in place it. So it's just like we are doing darts in dresses. So we are kind of making darts at these corners. I'm not going to be using any backing for this bag, because the jute fabric already has some effects on it. So this is what we have at the bottom. So when we join the side seams, we should have this rounded effect. So we are doing it on both sides. Okay, but this side here, one side of the bag has a pocket, so that is what I want us to do for the pocket before we go on to finish the edge. Now what I'm going to do now is just to run a zigzag stitch across this edge here, fold it over, and then we attach it to the bag on this side. Okay, so first I'm going to run a zigzag stitch on my machine and bring it back, and then we take it from there. All right, so that's the zigzag stitch run. That's a zigzag stitch I've run over there. Now so this is what is going to happen here. So this is going to be like another pocket. Now, I'm not going to be doing too much of lining with this one, because the fabric tends to be quite heavy, and it looks good. I think it looks good, quite good on this side as well, so that should be enough to go with it. So this is an effect I want to go in front of the bag here on this side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I just got a little bit of my crocodile leather. Let me give you the measurement of my pocket size. So the width of the pocket size should be the same as the body of the pocket size, if you remember, and that was 20 inches, but we added some seam allowances on the sides. Okay, now let's see the height of it. So that for now is around 19 inches. So let me break back my stencil. So this is the size of the main body of the bag on one side of it. Okay, take about 2 inches off it like that, cut 2 inches off, and that will serve up as the size of your pocket. Okay, so it's about the same thing you are cutting again, but then you make it a bit shorter, and then you finish it off with a zigzag and then turn it in. Now I want to use this as an embellishment for the bag, just for the front of the bag. Okay, if you remember, we left some size on the sides here, so actually this is where the leather is going to be. All right, make sure that they are positioned equally on both sides. So whatever space you have on this side should be the same space on this side as well. And I'm going to bring it up a bit, because I'm going to fold the top bit over in like this, and then stitch it down. Okay, so I'm just going to run a stitch down here to hold the leather down. So what I've done now is, after doing the zigzag stitch, is to run a stitch on top of it, and then we're going to bring our leather embellishment now onto it here. Okay, so So the width of this leather embellishment is about 11.5 centimeters, as you can see, 11.5 centimeters, and the length will just be the length of the pocket size. Okay, make sure that it's centered properly, so you have the space on this side matching up the space on the opposite side as well. Okay, when we are sure what we have, we can then run a stitch across it. I want to get some hardware. Okay, I think I'll go for this one. It gives it a kind of a classy look, so I'll just keep this one and then put this on the side. So I'm going to stitch this onto the leather, just the leather, before we run a machine stitch on the side. So I'm going to hand stitch here and here down, and then we carry on from there. Okay, so I've stitched in all the dots. As you can see, they've all been stitched in right, beautifully. The next thing to do is to slash the dots open. Okay, so I'm going to go in, and then I hope that this is sharp enough for me here. Just try and slash it open, and I'll show you the reason why. So when you are joining the bag together at the bottom, it lays flat like that, and then you can run your machine over it. So I'm going to slash all 4 dots open, and then we take it from there. Okay, so here we are with all the slits done. I've also gone ahead to do one extra step, that is to finish off my edges before we do the joining on the side, because my fabric was fraying a lot, and I realized once we finish the side seams, I'll not be able to finish my edges. I think the advisable thing to do is to try and finish off your edges before we join the sides. All right, so you can see I split open all my dots up. That makes it easier and flat enough to join when the time comes. And obviously when I was finishing off, because that end was also split open, it made it quite easy for me to do. Put it down now. I'm going to, because this bit is going over here, to lie down like that. So I'm going to put some glue here and here, and then put the 2 of them together as well. Okay, now whilst we wait for this to dry up completely, let's talk about the side flaps and then the strap we are going to be doing for the bag. Okay, so you need 2 D-rings, and then you also need a connector, and this will be going on the side of the bag after we've done the joining, so that we can put the strap onto it. Okay, so what I have done is to get 2 strips, and I'm going to get them off the D-ring to show you exactly what I mean. So the width of my D-ring, and that is 1.5 centimeters. I'm talking about this end here is 1.5 centimeters. So the width of that strap is also going to be 1.5 centimeters. Now this is entirely up to you. If the width of your D-ring is 2 centimeters, then it means that the width of this little strap here is also going to be 2 centimeters, but mine is 1.5, so the width of mine is also 1.5. Okay, and the length is 13 centimeters. So we're going to put the 2 of them together like that. And then bring it to the center. Okay, and then we're going to put the 2 together like that. So you're going to have to cut 2 of those. All right, and for me, I'm going to be putting glue onto it, but I'm thinking of shaping this in either a rounded form or a V. All right, okay, so as you can see, it has gone from this to that. All right, and I think at this point, this step is also entirely up to you. You can choose to leave it squarish like that, or you can round it up like that, but I prefer it rounded up. So I'm going to do the same thing to this end, and all that I did is just to try and put a curve around the corners here to take that sharp edge off, so just like that. Okay, but you make sure that they are all the same shape. So what you can do is cut this one and then trace it onto this one. I think is the easiest thing to do. Okay, so I have both of them shaped up beautifully. I'm going to put some glue on both sides and then we'll stick it down before we attempt to use a stitch to hold it together. Okay, so while we wait for these to dry up, I'm going to join the ends of the bag together. Okay, so I'm going to be joining it from here all the way round. Right, let's see how it goes. Okay, so this is what we have. I've finished joining the sides on both sides, and this is what we have as the back, so you can see all the sides. Okay, this is what we have for the side. Now the next thing is to attach this to the side of the bag here. Okay, and then do the same thing on the other side. So if you remember, we had put some glue on each layer to stick them together. Now I'm going to be running a stitch along the side, and then we will come and attach it to the sides here and there, and then we will get a strap to hook onto it, and we'll be done with the bag. Right, so now this has been stitched. Now let me show you the little trick to get this stitched on the machine. Okay, to allow your leather glide under the foot of your machine easily, just rub some machine oil, okay, just a little bit over your leather front and back. Okay, and this allows you to stitch easily under your machine. So you put a stitch through this and then make sure that it's firm enough. So this is going to go on the side here like that, and then we'll connect the strap onto it when we are done. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other piece for this side, and then we'll take it from there. I've done a few things off camera. Let me talk to you about what I have done. So I have done a stand or a base for the inside bit of the bag, so that's going to go inside the bag to give the bottom the flat shape that I want. Okay, it also finishes off inside beautifully at the bottom. So what I did was to cut just normal cardboard. Okay, and the size of what I cut was let's take the measurement now. So it was 4 centimeters by 16 centimeters, I guess. So it was 4 centimeters in width, and the length is 15 centimeters. And then I wrapped it with some of the leather. Okay, I just wrapped it and then put some glue here and then stick the ends together. So this is going to go inside the bag to sit in there at the base the bag, just to give it the shape that we want at the bottom. So this is what we have when you look at it. All right, I've also finished off the sides. So I had done the sides earlier with you. I just used glue to stick it, and I used Evosti glue, and I was generous on that side because a lot of weight is going to go on here when you put things in and you have to carry it. So I've just fixed it on the sides, as you can see. Yeah, as you can see. Okay, so that is it. Now the final thing for the bag is a strap, and I have done this off camera, and I'm going to show you what I did. Right, so I cut the strip of the bag, so I cut a strip of the, so I cut 2 strips, okay, of leather, and the width of the strip is exactly the same as the width that we have here. All right, and I had doubled it. So if you look at it, you can see that it's 2 pieces of leather. I cut the same size, and then I put them together, and then I ran a stitch on top of it. Now to fix this end, what I did was to stagger the ends of my leather so they were both not meeting at the same point. What I did was one of my leather was longer at the end here than the other. So when you slide in this into the hole of, let me use this end as demonstration. So you just slide it in here. Okay, And then when you have this coming like that, you place this on top of it. So this is what you would have like that. Then you run your stitch all the way down, bring it the other way, and come and finish it off here. So like I said, if you are not hand stitching and you're using the machine to do the stitch, you have to rub some machine oil on top of it, and this will glide smoothly under your machine foot so you can stitch with it. Right, so this is what I have done here. So we are basically done with today's project. I'm going to attach this to this end of the bag, and then get the other end also. Here the other end. So basically this is what we have. As our messenger bag with a handle. So we've come to the end of today's project. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe and hit on the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new episode is released. Also, don't forget to share our episodes as well. Leave all your comments in the comment section below. And I'd also like to say that check out our other YouTube page, and that is Podcast with Sheila. On this page, we share inspiring real life stories. We've done interesting stories that are motivating, and I think you'd love that as well. Don't forget to share all our videos, as I said earlier, and until we meet again in our next video, take care.